something that I thought was really interesting in my class this week was we were learning about arrhythmias and unnatural heart rhythms. My teacher for this particular rhythm, she was saying you'll find it in smokers, in drinkers, people who have poor sleep patterns, obesity, but then you'll also find it in athletes. And I was like, what? Like, why would you find this irregularity within the heart that you'd find in smokers? And it reminded me of there has to be a balance with everything, even exercise, even with supplementation and diet. And like Dr. Anthony Chaffee talks about this. He talks about like if you have to supplement your diet, the diet isn't supporting you fully, because you don't have to believe this. I'm making this video for people who are struggling, who are sensitive to the world, and who are having issues with autoimmune diseases, their skin health, their depression, mental health, everything like that. When you are struggling, these supplements, like our food is our first form of medicine. Like if you are having troubles with anything, that's why he promotes the carnivore diet, because the carnivore diet is high in all of the basic nutrients that we need with little to no toxins getting in the diet. And the thing is, like, if we have sensitivities to the environment, these toxins are really going to play a major role. So one of the people he had on his podcast reversed her Parkinson's disease. Her name's Mimi Morgan. Go look this story up. It amazes me, reversing Parkinson's disease, because it's very close to Alzheimer's dementia, which is something I'm always talking about. And that's being also confused and being divorced from the self. And a lot of mental health issues are related to these factors of insulin resistance within the brain. So Mimi Morgan, she had a Parkinson's diagnosis. She was on such a high medication, and she heard about the carnivore diet and implemented that into her life. Some people are so sensitive. The carnivore diet ends up being one of the only things that will help them in their journey, provide enough oxygen, glucose, everything to the brain, to the immune system. So it's so beautiful. And what I was thinking about when my teacher said that, you know, and it can be in a healthy lifestyle too, is that quote is, every cure is a poison in a high enough dose. And that's a really ancient quote within medicine. Every single thing in the body, like when you look towards like supplementing and whatnot too, can throw us out of balance. And yeah, you might, like, this might not affect you at all. That's why I said it's for sensitive people. I can't tolerate alcohol. At one point in my life, I was able to drink whiskey, Coke with no problem. And now my body just rejects that. But some people can be functional alcoholics and show up to work and function and live and do all these things. Me, my face gets flushed and I'm about to throw up on the floor, you know? So everybody has these different levels of sensitivity. But what I can tell you from my own experience is that I'm getting back more into a carnivore type of diet now. I'm not super strict. These past few days I have been, since I've been listening to all these stories and trying to experiment and get my own energy levels back. So I think I had been pushing the gas a little bit too much on the caffeine, my caffeine intake, because I love coffee. I love coffee, but caffeine is also, it's a stimulant, it's a drug, it strips us of minerals, puts us in a dehydrated state. I love it. I love just black coffee, just how it is. But I have to find a way to back off and to find a balance with that too, because everything's about balance, pH balance, oxygen balance, sodium balance, magnesium balance. And so what I've been focusing on lately is getting a lot of protein in, and like balancing even my cycle. Like I started my cycle today, and this is for any women my age that will be watching. Prepare early for your cycle. I was kind of like, it felt like I was behind a little bit on my cycle. Like I could have upped my iron levels and red meat consumption like a week ago. And yesterday I felt like I was playing catch up. Like I woke up in the morning yesterday and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to eat like right away. A lot of protein. I just basically ate all day, because like if you have a cycle and you know, like right before you're about to start, like your body just knows. And I felt dehydrated and like heavy in my head, and I don't like feeling that way. So like preparing for my cycle a week before is like the best way for me to like feel more balanced and at ease, like going and transitioning into my cycle. So I was able to catch up. But like imagine like you have that diet in place like all the time, and feeling more clear in your head, because when you're eating a lot of protein, it's not about the protein really, it's about the amino acids. Like what would my body do if I gave it all of this code to produce all these proteins, to carry out all these biochemical functions? Because like there is so much work being done at the biochemical level. There's so much we can't see. And oftentimes if you feel lethargic, if you feel any sort of imbalance, we greatly underestimate our need for nutrients in our life. And I always talk about this, is that the factor that we have to face now is fitting in with technology. How does technology, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, how does this affect my nutrient status? Well, if you go, the simplest way to look at this is, if I go to sit in an x-ray machine, I know that my tissues are going to break down incredibly fast. So what we have around us now is we have higher levels of ionizing radiation that is affecting us at the cellular level. Not quite as much. I'm not sitting in an x-ray machine, so it's not as intense, but we are definitely seeing higher autoimmune rates, higher cancer rates, and the technology that's around us, it has an effect on our biochemistry. It's part of our diet. So again, going and talking about how is over exercising can lead to these premature atrial contractions or these irregular heart rhythms, we have to consider everything in our diet. So that includes Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and that includes like what I'm eating in terms of like my regular dietary needs. Iron is like a huge one, especially for women, because we menstruate, we bleed out iron all the time. We also are 40% more likely to have an autoimmune condition or be anemic. And I've talked, one of the things that I'm talking about anemia, I had a conversation with this beautiful couple a few months ago, and she was saying they started watching my videos and they started to eat the girl had just become pregnant, and her doctor told her she was anemic, because usually when we become pregnant, our energy demands increase incredibly. And if we're not eating enough iron and don't have all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, we'll get gestational diabetes, anemia, blood clots during pregnancy. Like, pregnancy is it's dangerous if you don't have what you need. And the energy demand becomes very real and apparent when you go through pregnancy. That's why I really like talking to women who have gone through it, because just like with anyone who's experienced some sort of illness or troubles with their health, you really, really understand what it's like to go through that situation and to know the nutrient demand from it, And like I said, not everybody is the same. Like, you have people who can be functioning alcoholics, they can eat a whole box of glazed donuts, and like, that's fine. But other people are much more sensitive, and I happen to be one of those people, and I believe that physical health is spiritual health, because if we do not have this vessel to hold us through our life, our spirit is gone. And that's why I'm always talking about dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. And so it really is a beautiful process. And one of the things that's really important too is talking about fat consumption. Like, Dr. Mary Newport, with her work with Alzheimer's dementia, started giving her husband Steve higher levels of fat, because our brain relies on fat. Fat is the backbone of cholesterol. Cholesterol is the backbone of all of our steroid hormones. It protects us from the sun. We turn cholesterol into vitamin D when we go into the sun. It protects everything. So, every single cell membrane, and we have trillions of these babies, every single cell membrane is a lipid fat membrane. It has cholesterol embedded within the membrane. So cholesterol is an important part. So it's kind of like we have to reorganize ourselves and keep a curious, open mind in terms of, what have I been told my entire life? Is fat bad? And then if I'm scared and I still don't know what to do, Let me go listen to these people who have reversed their dementia and Alzheimer's and their Parkinson's disease through a high fat carnivore diet, a ketogenic diet. And these stories are crazy. Like, it lights me up to think about it. And then, like, this is something I'm also trying to practice, not just talking about it here, but trying to practice that in my own life. So I've been on like a little butter journey the last few days. I've just been kind of like, I'll just go to the fridge and eat like a stick of butter, because like I said, I was kind of burning myself out with coffee and experiencing what I think is a little bit of adrenal fatigue, which it's okay, you know. Like, we've done exercises before and pushed ourselves too hard, and we take it back and we readjust things in our life. You know, sometimes you have to touch the stove again to realize how hot it is. You know, you lose your health, you start gaining weight just to realize, okay, what I'm doing isn't right in my life. Let me readjust and just stay open and curious about it, you know? So I love y'all so much. Keep doing your own research, of course. You're more than welcome to like look that up too. You know, don't take my word for anything in these videos. Like, don't trust me, don't trust anybody. Trust your medical professionals, do your own research. But it's called a premature atrial contraction. So you can look that up for yourself and, you know, look up all these people I'm talking about. And I really wish you the best of luck in your journey with what you're doing. And I'll catch y'all later.